more seasoned than I am
I
because
got you.
just
That's
saying,
fair. That's fair.
it usually doesn't
I
work
would
for that.
think it's because there's the handicap
Challenge.
factor.
Come on, Kate, where are you at?
It's resent out the link for it.
When you spray that, you keep it upright.
No, I think we're just wanting to do a cost of and stuff. Yeah.
Right there. Line 'em up, let's go.
There she is, Kate Gralton. Look at, you know what? I saw that picture at the post office. Okay,
The
so
one I
real
saw
quick,
you.
real quick, I want to cover a couple things real fast. Then I'm have to lay on us. MSPs, you'll need to check your emails. You should be receiving an email from either Josh Bush, Matt Bonveniga, or however you say his name, or Trevor Shaw. We are going to be doing a I don't know what you want to call it, some kind of a on the an online jam session tomorrow for seniors and for juniors. This is more for juniors. Unless you have an actual appointment, when they send this out for the invite for this, this is non-negotiable. You guys have to all be in it. Unless you have an appointment, we have to be in it. It's not going to be a regular thing. I suspect it will last an hour at the most. My suspicion is Atlanta's going to cover some stuff that they do. One of the concerns that everybody had on that call that I had this morning was that they know that our door approach is different than their door approach. If we follow our door approach to the letter of the law that we have, our new one, really and truly, the only thing that's different about our door approach is the first 18 seconds or so. The rest of it is basically Apex's way, minus the 58.5% off and minus the on the scale of 1 to 10 stuff. Personally, I don't think Atlanta does the one on the scale of 1 to 10. I don't think they do, but they're big time pushers of the 58.5%. And I am just not a big fan of the 58%. We've all had this discussion. Most of us on this call don't like it either. I can tell you right now, the vice president of the company, David, doesn't like it either, because it does, in my opinion, cheapen the product. It does prevent us from being able to sit there and make more money for everybody, including the juniors. Okay. There is getting ready to be a huge push here starting tomorrow and over the course of the next few days on, number one, managing to our forecasts. And the managing to our forecasts starts with NOx. As a company, for the month of January, we were over 700 NOx down as a company of where we should have been. Most of that 700 was the Western region. Now, everybody does understand that Salt Lake City, Cody, you guys out there in Portland, Kate, you guys out there in Seattle, that there was anywhere from, 6, 7 days to as many as 10, 12, 13 days lost due to, inclement weather, stuff that was actually pretty bad. You had buku snow out there, Cam, freezing stuff the way you guys had out in Portland, Cody, and some of that stuff too also in Seattle. All anybody had to do is pay attention to the news and we could see that. Okay. Now that the better weather, that weather is going away now, there's going to be a big, big, big push and a big deal about that. I've got a 1 o'clock call today, my time, so that's gonna be in 45 minutes. Where we got Drew and Michael Hoy and everybody on this phone call. And what they want is a direct plan as to how do we plan on attacking the more knocks, because we're down so many knocks. So this is something that's getting ready to get pushed real hard. And your MSPs are going to be delivering a message here pretty quick that this is what we've got to do. And we're going to start managing these knocks on a daily basis, not on a monthly basis, but on a daily one. There is a forecast that we put out at the beginning of the year that has to be reached, and it starts with knocks. So when this starts coming out, some of you may or may not particularly care for it. I get it. But in the end, it is our job. And our job is to create revenue. And that revenue creation starts with door knocks. What we're not going to be able to do is, hypothetically, let's just take Salt Lake. Just because Salt Lake forecasted to do, say, 300,000, and they do their 300,000, but they also forecasted 500 knocks, and they only did 375 knocks, the heat's going to show up anyway, because we didn't meet that part of the forecast. And had we met that part of the forecast, then in theory, we would have sold more than the forecast of the 350 that Cam put out. Okay. So keep in mind, this isn't just about volume. Your MSPs will be able to go over with you about all the forecasts that we put together, and everything on the forecast has to be met. It isn't just volume. It's not just that. So to think that volume makes everything go away is not true. Okay. It's everything. All right. It's everything. So there's going to be a big push to that. Let's not give our MSPs a bunch of heat over this and talk a lot of shit. They have a boss too, and I'm it. And I have one also, and that's Dave Michael Hoy and Drew Weinferner. And this is coming from the powers that be. And this is just the way that it is. So let's not sit there and have any heartburn over this. In the end, all this is to make sure we're generating more revenue as an office, which means our JSPs are generating more revenue and our seniors are generating more revenue for themselves and for the business as well. Okay. We all know on this phone call that we have not been knocking the way we're supposed to. We know we haven't, even when the weather is good. Maybe some of you have, but we win as a team and we lose as a team. We don't get to stand around and say, well, I did my part. That's BS. Because what else could you do that's your part? Okay. Seniors, you have to sit there and be more aggressive in getting out there and crushing doors with the juniors, whether you have juniors or you don't. Whether we have the Canvas managing program in effect or not, does not matter. There is a certain amount of responsibility that lays on us as well to be able to go out there. I am working on this program with the MSPs to get the JSP manager in here. We are working on that now, so we can get to the point where we have enough canvassers that those seniors that do not want to partake in having to sit there and do that all the time, you no longer will. But for the ones that still want to have their own team and do all their own training, you can as well. Okay. That option is certainly not being taken away from anybody. We're just trying to sit there and find a way to get more bodies in here so we can get more appointments out for everybody so we can sell more. All right. Everybody on this call has done a real nice job in this new training methodology or pitching methodology that we're starting to bring forward. I know for some of you, it's kind of weird for you. It's a little different than what you guys have done. I get it. But what I will promise you this is, if you can learn this program, learn this program, follow the program, you will be a better salesperson for it. I assure you of that. Your average ticket will get higher. Your close will get better, and you will be happier campers for it. But we have to get past the newness of it all. We got to get past the fact that it's not normal what we used to do. We got to get back past the fact that change makes things a little funny. And when we feel uncomfortable when we're out there, we always want to revert back to what we used to do because that's what we're more comfortable with. But if you'll give me an honest effort and an honest run, if you will be better for it. I can promise you, you will be. You will be better. Okay. And not just here, but anywhere else you go. Even if you decide, hey, look, I just don't want to run these canvas leads anymore. I want to do something else. You'll be better for it. I can promise you that. You'll be better. So this stuff that's getting ready to come down now, it is the beginning of a new year now. All the lackadaisical stuff that we were getting away with, we're not going to be able to get away with no more. There is a certain number of doors that we must get knocks. That has to happen. It starts there. Meetings, volume, margins, lead demos. I mean, I got poor Kate and Cody for sure. And they're going back through months worth of stuff because there's so many open tickets in loop that hasn't been closed out yet. And I got my MSPs asking you guys to clean this up. And this shit's not getting done. Look, they're not the only ones looking at that anymore. We're not the only ones looking at it anymore. GDI is starting to cross all their T's and dot all their I's. And they are looking into this now to make sure that all these things are being closed because the numbers that we have are so inaccurate because we're not doing things correctly or we're not doing things at all. So it is important that everybody cooperate here and just know it's nothing personal. Nobody's trying to be ugly here, but this is what we're being told now because GDI is wanting to continue to sit there and move forward and be better. If you guys want to know the truth, GDI owns a lot of stuff. You all know that. We own Champion Windows, Stanek Windows, K-Design now, patio enclosures, Apex, and so on and so on. Of the $1 billion worth of business plus that they did last year, of the $1 billion, one company made money. And that's it. Only one. And that was Apex. Here in Apex, we actually are the ones that showed growth, made money. Well, what they want now is better growth and more money. Can't blame them. We would all want the same thing if we owned the place too. So I can't hardly be mad at them. They're just doing their job. And their job is to sit there and push us to the limit to find out what that limit is, which is what my job is to do for the MSPs. And the MSP's job is to push you guys. And unfortunately, that snowball rolls downhill. So nothing out of meanness or ugliness. That's just the way that it is. So starting tomorrow, this is going to pop up. Your MSPs, once they read the emails that they should be getting today, we need to put that out there. Time-wise, this is probably going to be somewhere around an 11 or 12 o'clock time for Seattle and Portland because of the 3-hour time difference from there to Atlanta. Salt Lake and Phoenix, it'll be a 2-hour time difference. So, of course, you know, our time will be a little bit different. And Mark, yours is the only weird one because you're ahead of all of us and you're only 1 hour behind them. So they may put you on the Eastern call so as your time is not so left-handed, just so you know. So if you happen to get on that and you're not seeing your Western region teammates, that's because of your time difference from there to them. Okay. Just so you're aware. So it doesn't get later for you, bro. It doesn't get later for you.
And that's for tomorrow's call that you're talking about.
Yes. Okay. The next thing I want to cover real fast is home shows. Home shows. Look, the goal of the home show, number one, is obviously to get as many appointments as we can. The goal number two is I want a senior partner, at least one, in that booth at all times, along with at least 2 or 3, but 2 bare minimum junior sales partners. Okay. When we work this home show, this is not a competition to try to take from one to another and all that. That is not what this is about. In the end, we are teammates and need to act like that. Okay. When a senior sets up an appointment, and if you're the one that sets it up, If you've got two juniors in your booth, then you pick one of them to give that lead to. This is not one that you get to keep, so you don't have to pay out the junior partner pay. Does not work that way at all. Okay. Juniors, if you give one to one junior, then when you get your second one, just remember to give it to the next one. It doesn't matter if one is on your team and the other one is not, so you're feeding your person. Not the way it works. We sit there and we treat each other fairly in there. At the same time, juniors, you're going to be talking to some of these customers. A senior is going to hear the conversation. A senior is going to sit there and like the direction the conversation is going, and is going to want to interject in there and take that over. If that is the call that the senior makes, that's the call they make. Back out of it. Stand and listen if you want, but back out, or back out and go try to get another one. When that appointment is set, it will be given back to you to be able to put in loop, so that is yours. So if it sells, you still get paid. Okay. But this is not a competition that I got to get as many as I can as a senior, so I don't have to pay out the junior. That's not the way this works at all. Okay. At the same time, too, when the job is sold, once that job is sold, regardless of how many units, regardless of how big or how small, seniors have to add $500 to your par to pay for the booth. All right. So if your par comes out to be 10 grand and you sell it for 15,000, then you add 500 to the par. So your new par is 10.5. That 10.5 is then taken out of the sale price. And then we split that money up like we normally do. Okay. That is how it works. The booth has to be. Do
What
what?
about the front doors? If it's a single front door, is that the same charge?
Yes, it is. You got to add the 500 to the par. Again, here are the options that we have for home shows. Here are our options. Option A, if we want to work home shows, the senior needs to pay for it up front. These home shows run anywhere from 4 to 6 grand. Okay. That means you got to come out of pocket to sit there and pay for it. Option number 2 is we will continue to pay for it. We'll pay for it, but we're going to collect the money back on every deal that we sell. Now, you're going to get to the point, and I'm going to use Seattle here for a minute. Ari may sell 7 deals, and Liam only may sell 2, and Kate may only sell 1. Well, then if that's the way it is, that's the way that it is, then that means Ari paid for more of that booth than the others did. It just happened to work out that way. Maybe the next show will be the other way around. Keep in mind, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. But everybody is going to be the bug, and everybody's going to be the windshield. We can't gripe about being the bug if we're not griping about being the windshield as well. Okay? It's just going to work that way for some shows. That's just the way it's going to be. But once we get to a point where we've been in these things longer, we get better at pitching, our booths look nicer, they look more inviting, we start getting more leads. The managing senior partners will be able to tell you this, the ones that were on that call, everybody except Mark. You know, we all knew Mark, you were in the house. So we told the leadership team that yesterday. But if you take Indianapolis's last home show, they set up 58 appointments from that. Okay. Kate and them set up 18. Hey, look, to have a booth next to the bathroom at the last minute, that's a hell of a show. You had a nice show. You did. As we get better with it, as our kiosks look nicer, as our samples get better, as our banners get better, as our booths get bigger, and as we start moving more towards the front of the shows, and we start getting better locations, then you'll start to see things moving forward, and these shows become bigger and bigger each time. Okay. So those are the options that we have with the show. And this is what we have to be able to do. Juniors are paid out the same way they would be paid out if they knocked that door. So if you sell a deal for 70 grand, then whatever that cost is, $2,100, then that's what it is. No different than them knocking doors. Keep in mind, by having the juniors there helping means we also don't have them on the street. So they've got to be able to get paid the same way. Okay. So those are the things I wanted to talk to you guys about real quick, was for that. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do. Do the home show leads with the juniors, do those count towards races?
Yes, I was told yes.
So the answer I would give you would be yes. Because again, they are out there doing this, okay?
Okay.
So I would sit there and say yes. What I would also sit there and say though, again, to be fair to the office, to the EBITDA, and to all the margins and all that, to be fair, these races you're probably going to have are probably going to be smaller races as well, because you are in fact not walking the streets. You're not, fighting the weather. You're not sitting there having to walk 10 miles and shit. You're literally just standing around in your booth asking questions as people start walking by. So that'll be up to the MSP, but I will tell you that it would probably tell you that the races will probably be smaller because they should be a lot easier to get. Okay. Again, if we take Seattle right now, as of now, since the show, they've only really run 4 days, 3 days, and have already sold either 4 or 5 deals from that already. Okay. So selling is going to be easier from these shows. They will. And as you get better and you learn to pitch a little differently at the show, you'll also find that as a senior, depending on the market that you're in, you can actually run a lead every 2 hours. You can run 7 appointments in a day if need be. That is the goal, is to crush yourself that way. The thing about a home show lead is this: you must set these appointments up as close together and as early and quick as humanly possible. Okay. Home show leads are no different than the leads we get anywhere else. The farther away from the show the leads get, they perform much, 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 much worse. They perform way worse. Case in point, let's look at Phoenix. Phoenix set 11 appointments up for the first week. 7 out of those 11 sold. Now, granted, 4 out of the 7 were credit turn downs, but that's not the point. The point is they sold. The following week, though, the other 7 appointments that they had, of those 7 appointments, 1 demoed, and it was a 1-leg. 2 people called in and said they already bought windows from somebody else. The other ones were what the other ones were. So the trick here is to pitch in a way at the show that you can, in fact, run 7 leads a day, as long as you're not driving from one end of Kingdom Come to the other. Okay. My suggestion is for your seniors, I used to use an appointment book. I could give a shit less about Loop. I used to use an appointment book. The appointment book that I used to use, when you opened it up, it was a regular sized book. When you opened it, it had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then under Saturday, it had a little space like this for Sunday. The times that were on it would have 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, and then 9. And then 9, 9:15, 9:30, 9:45, and then 10. So it had lines for 15-minute increments. What I would do is I would use that. I would schedule my appointment on that so it's out in front of me. Name, address, city, state, and then I would put the zip code by itself in the right-hand corner of that box. So when I'm setting my appointments up at the show, or juniors are getting stuff and we're setting things up for the show, they can match up zip codes a lot easier to try to give me a better chance to be in the same area. So I could sit there and run an 8 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, and a 12 o'clock. And if that's in the same zip code, that's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. When you're pitching at the show, the trick at the show to be able to get in and out faster is this. If you pitch at the show the way I'm going to tell you, what you'll find is when you go to the customer's house, you're never going to show a window, ever. You'll never show your window. unless the appointment you set up was with a spouse and the other spouse wasn't there, you're never going to show a window. All right. And the reason why is because you demo the window at the home show. We're working on getting you guys as your heat lamp kits. You use the heat lamp kit at the show. Cody, you have a heat lamp kit. So you'll be able to use yours out there. The next show that comes up, Kate, you will have one by then, even if I have to ship you one from here. Okay. So I worked out a deal with Provia, at least with my area rep for here, Keith Schlebach. Through Provia, these meter kits are $476 a piece. He got me 4 of them for free that he's having drop shipped to his house. And then he's going to bring them to me because he lives here in Maricopa County. So, but I got a good relationship with those guys, so I can get a lot of crap for free. So I'm working on trying to get some other stuff for somebody else. I just don't have the relationship with Dwayne Campbell. So I have a harder time doing that, but I'm working on it for everybody, guys. I'm working on it. So the point is, though, is if you pitch and do everything at the show, heat lamp kit, demo the window, free spray and all that, then when you go to the customer's house, literally you'll have to do steps. Obviously, step number 1, you'll do step 2, you'll warm up. You'll do a tiny inspection. And then you'll go straight into everything else and start pricing and measuring and start pricing things up. Because you'll have already talked to them about the company at the show. You'll already showed them the windows there. You've already demoed it, explained it, and the whole bit. When at this show and you're getting busy, as a junior, do not be afraid to take multiple customers. It's okay. It's easy. You're halfway talking. If I'm talking to Mr. and Mrs. Grell, all of a sudden I see somebody in who looks like they're interested and they're wanting to look, call them in right away. You know what, folks, come on in here. Let me help you out. I can help you. Come on in. You know, what is your name? George. Hey, George, this is Kate and Bob. George is a nice guy. Kate and Bob, he's going to join us, and then pick right up and keep on going. We can fill him in later on the other part. But a lot of times when a crowd breeds a crowd like that, it's also a lot easier to set appointments once somebody does. Most of the other people in the group tend to fall in line right away. You know, monkey see, monkey do. So before your guys' home show, we'll go over more of that. I didn't get a chance to do that with Kate and her team because we had the last minute, but we will be ready for the next one for you, Kate. Portland, you're having yours in February. I will be there in February for your guys' show. I will be there. Okay.
Cool.
And I will be at the next show for everybody else when you guys have one, as long as they're not double booked on shows, then that changes things. So I have a show here the same weekend that Portland does, but Phil is down here and has worked hundreds or dozens of these fuckers, so I don't need to be here for that. So that's why I'll be out there, Cody. I'll be there with you guys for that. And then we'll go through all that. We got to get your guys' stuff taken care of. This Friday, MSPs, we will be having our meeting. One of the things that we are going to cover for sure is home shows, making sure we're getting all of our stuff ordered and ready for our next show coming up. Cody, if we have a problem with banners and things like that, for sure, my guy down here in Phoenix, I can get him to make that stuff quick. He usually can have anything made for me in less than a week. So we can go ahead and get that taken care of. Since we're on a time crunch for you, buddy, we're working on that. So any questions about that at all? About anything we've just talked about right now? Any questions? Thoughts or concerns? Please speak your mind now and tell me, guys.
One thought I did have was like you were talking about the performance of the speed of the appointment. It makes perfect sense, but it's pretty much opposite of what we were taught in terms of leads. Like we always wanted to be the last man in the door, but I guess the goal here is to just be the last man in the door, period. Yeah. Close the deal. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear all your question, Miss Michelle, so I'm so sorry. Can you repeat for me?
She answered it for herself.
I answered my own question.
Her question was, before we were not trying to be the first one, we were trying to be the last one. And then she goes, I guess we still want to be the last one. We just also want to be the first one and then not have anyone else come out.
Right. So what I would sit there and tell you is this, is that being the last one is not your friend here. when it comes to a home show. But you gotta think about this for a second. If we just look at this with, and kind of use our noodle a bit on this one. Chances are you're gonna go into a home show where there's gonna be 7, 10, 11 other window companies out there. Okay? The one thing I've learned about home shows is you have to be different than everybody else. You have to be different, okay? If you walk around the home show and look at all the other window booths, the booths may look different, but everybody out there does the same thing though. They offer something free, $25,000 free drawing for windows for a house. They give away all kind of crap to get people to set appointments, okay? I'm not a huge fan of that because what you end up getting is a crud load of tire kickers and a lot of renters. And you're blowing through a lot of appointments to try to sit there and get to something good, all right? The other thing that every window company out there does is they all believe that they need to talk as little as possible because they don't want to take away from anything at the house. So they don't share a lot. Nobody demos windows for the most part out there. They just don't. And Seattle, if you walked around your home show and looked at other booths, you saw that. They're not demoing their window out there. They're not. Most of them are not. The problem is when you don't do that, then every window company appears to be the same. So all that does is encourage people to continue to keep talking to everybody, okay? If you demo the window there, if you do the heat lamp stuff there, if you do the freeze spray stuff there, you will be shocked. Ari can testify to this. The first home show Ari ever worked was in Phoenix. I was sitting there telling them, look, if you demo everything right, you'll be surprised. People will sit there and say, you know what, I'm gonna go cancel my appointments. Here are all my brochures, can you throw them away? Jake, who was here at the time, did the whole, yeah, right. That's okay, you'll see. We didn't have a heat lamp kit. We didn't have the freeze spray, but we still demoed the window. And there was a couple that I talked to there that Ari can tell you she saw that literally gave me, she says, you know what? This is the best window. Can you do me a favor and take these? Just throw those away. I'm going to go cancel my appointments. And that's exactly what she did. You will have that more often than not if you're doing that. But if you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, then to a customer, a window is a window is a window is a window. The only thing that separates one company from another is its price. That's the big thing. So we will work on that, and that's what we want to do. Okay. So I know that some of you have got to get the hell out of here. So if you do, get out of Dodge. Go, go, go. So if you don't have any questions for me, this is where I'm going to tell you, let's be patient with your MSPs, everybody, please. Be nice to them. There's a lot of stuff coming down that they're going to hit you with. It's not on them, okay?
I do have one question, Terry. Why do we do a little baby inspection for a home
Do
show
what?
lead? You said like a little mini inspection for a home show lead. That seems like the one we'd really want to drive it in so that they're like, oh shit, we can't do the kitchen remodel that we're getting a bid for or whatever, you know?
Okay, so I'm sorry. So for the lack of a better way to say it, is what I mean by that is a lot of the questions you're going to ask at the show. So when I'm demoing a window at the show, I ask, when you take your old windows out, put your new windows in, folks, what do you want your windows to do? What do you want your windows to do? What do you want your windows to do? And then when I set that appointment, I make my notes for it. So that's what I mean by baby. You may not have to do all of that, but if you don't do that at the show that way, then yes, you'll have to do your regular process of hot button question and all that stuff. That's what I mean. Okay.
I got it. So baby step 3, but a normal inspection itself. Okay.
Yes.
Understood.
So lack of a better way to deliver that. My apologies, guys. Some of these people, what you're going to find out with at the show when they get out there, they're going to tell you, hey, look, man, my windows suck. I've been there 10 years. They don't lock. They don't this. They don't this. They're absolutely horrible, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to get there. And some of these are going to be just an absolute lay down. The $45,000 deal that Ari sold the other day, she flat out said, look, bottom line, it was like freaking lay down. The damn thing was a lay down. which tells me, number one, she did one hell of a job out there at the home show because she was the first person there. Home show was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and she ran the damn lead on a Saturday. So she was actually there before the home show was even over with, when other companies aren't even going. And she set hers up, and it was a literal laydown. You're going to see quite a bit of that from time to time. You are. Okay. What you're going to have to overcome at the show, the big thing you overcome is the whole triple pane is overkill. That you hear at the show a lot, because that's what all the other assholes at the show are telling them. So here in Phoenix, the last home show we did, there were 17 window companies with booths out there. 17. You're going to see that. So what other questions? Ari, you sent me a text earlier. Did I answer your question? You're muted, so just thumb me up if you're good. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, very cool. So tomorrow, what I want to do, if you guys can do me please a big favor, today, tonight, whatever it is, between today and tomorrow, if you have questions on what you saw today, let's be sure to ask those tomorrow. I want to go through another one of those, and then I want to start getting into step 10 tomorrow for you guys, because for next week, I'm expecting everybody to be ready to go. Seattle, I know you guys haven't had a chance to do a lot of role playing and things like that because of the home show and all the stuff that's going on. You guys lost some time there. So we do got to find time to be able to get into that, but you guys will have the information. You'll be prepared enough to at least go out there and try it. And no different than when we were JSPs. You just got to get out there and get bloodied up a little bit. That's all. As you start to go through it, we'll get back together in a couple weeks. I usually give everybody 2 weeks to be on the street. And then we'll pull everybody back together and say, okay, now that you're doing all of this, what are you hearing now? And then we'll go ahead and cover that and say, okay, here's how I handle this, and do this, and do this, and do this. Okay. Do not be afraid to call me. Talk to your MSP, see if they can help. But if you guys can't, don't be afraid to pick the phone, give me a call, and sit there and say, hey, look, man, having a problem with this. Talk to me about this. I don't mind. Do not be afraid. Go ahead and give me a call. I don't mind. Miss Ari and Kate, along with Cody, will tell you, it is not past me to be on the phone with you until midnight if that's what you want. And I believe I've been on the phone with at midnight with all three of you, for sure. Mark, you as well. You know, so I don't mind. Don't be afraid. Pick up the phone. If I can help, that's what I'm here for. That's what your MSPs are here for. And let's get out there and just kick the shit out of everybody. So, unless you don't have anything for me, guys, I'll let you go. Thank you for your courtesy as always and your time. You guys are always great. You really are. Kate, Leah, you guys can't be lay down sales like you guys are, you shits. Well, Kate, just so you know, I am married and so are you. So that type of a proposition should probably be in private, just so you know. All right, guys. Everybody take care. Love everybody. Be safe.
All right.